Hello, this is RV Vagabond Jerry, and today I'm in Marquette, Kansas. A real little town, way out of the way from where you'd be normally traveling through Kansas. But the one thing they have here that really attracted me was their motorcycle museum. I've seen a lot of motorcycle museums all over the country, and they're always interesting to go in and see. Well, how much fun is that?
Is that fun?
Yeah! I've been riding motorcycles since I was 16 years old, so I have a special interest in motorcycle museums. I've owned 7 different motorcycles and motor scooters, and the one I have now, which is only about 9 months old, is a Yamaha X-Max 300. It's a scooter rather than a motorcycle, which I like mainly because of the under-seat storage. And 300 cc's. I've had this thing up to 88 miles an hour. And that is the maximum speed it will go. So I always use my scooter when I am camped someplace and want to go around town. So let's see what this one has to offer. The museum is basically 2 long rooms full of motorcycles. That one, and then here, side room full of motorcycles. So these 2 long rooms, let me go through them and see what they got. Up front is a 1926 Excelsior and 2 Indians. How about a 1913 Harley-Davidson? Wow. That is a really old one. I forget what year they started. Early 1900s, I think. Emblem is a make I'm not familiar with. A lot of these are not restored, like this one. Look at that long, squared off gas tank and that little motor. There's supposed to be only 2 or 3 or 4 of those in existence anywhere in the world left. The guy here told me. Here's some more that are not restored. Excelsior. Jefferson, that's another brand I haven't heard. Henderson is pretty well known. Never heard of Pope. Let's see what this says. Pope, quality has never been questioned. This is worn away, the name, but that actually says Sears. Sears has sold a lot of motorcycles. They didn't make any of their own, but they rebranded other motorcycles as Sears brand motorcycles. And back in the 1960s, I went to some Sears stores that had motorcycles there on display. Here's some more modern ones. I rode a BSA one time. That's British, and all the controls are opposite from the way they are on American, or most, even the Japanese motorcycles. That was an odd experience with all your controls on the opposite side that you're used to. Here's an interesting story about this one. Now here's a Sears that's been restored. Nicely polished. Here's a rare Indian. Very low, short one. I think I remember the CZ brand was from Czechoslovakia. This is a Hodaka, which only made dirt bikes. Husky. Let's see what that looks like. Husqvarna. 390. Rupp. Well, they got some really interesting brands here. 400 Suzuki, Star Racer. And here's a back room. Kind of a square room. Let's see what we got in here. Back here are scooters and mini bikes. Look at these tiny little things. Looks like they'd be driven by a 10-year-old. And here is a 1966 Cushman. I remember Cushmans always made a really strange clanging sound driving down the road. And a lot of them were built with what looked like lawnmower motors. And Honda sold a lot of these bikes back in the 60s and 70s. It was like a combination between a motorcycle and a scooter. They would have a motorcycle engine, but then sort of like the design of a scooter. And I think they just came in 3 sizes, 50, 70, and 90. Here's a scooter brand I haven't heard of. And this is a 57 silver pigeon. And this white one is a Vespa, the most well-known name in scooters that are made in Italy. Oh, this is funny. This little Vespa has got a speedometer that goes up to 120 kilometers. That's a 66. And then this maroon colored one, another one I'm not familiar with. Here's some details on that. It's from 1962. And look at this thing. It's like a bicycle with an engine put on top of the front wheel. Wow. That's a 78 Solex. 4600 watt. Look at that gear shifter right there. If that's what it is. Here's a 52 Simplex. And they have a Schwinn bicycle from the very early 1900s. Wow. Still in fairly good condition. Just a little rusty. Sears also used the brand Allstate on some of their motorbikes. No more, but Harley-Davidson used to make some really small motorbikes. 1970 is a 65cc. Now they only make the really big ones. This is funny. Super Sonda is the brand. Chain drive. And this is a tiny little thing. This looks like a toy that a 6-year-old would ride on. Followed by one of his little riding toy cars. Now this is a moped, which is a type of motorbike nobody makes anymore. And I've tried to find any company that still makes them, and I just couldn't. What's significant about mopeds is that they have pedals like that, and the way you start the moped is just by pedaling it like a bicycle, and then once you gain enough speed, the engine comes on. And now the only kind of similar bikes are electric, whereas mopeds always had gas engines. Here's one that also has a lawnmower type engine that they just took from a lawnmower, I guess, and converted it onto a bicycle type. Here's another Simplex, and look at the horn on this thing. It is a huge horn. Here's an Allstate with a lawnmower engine on it. There used to be a lot of scooters like this back in the 40s, 50s, 60s. Here's another Sears Allstate with the ad card for it. Show you some of the details about it. That's a 1959 Allstate. And look at this odd looking thing with an odd looking seat. There's no label, so it may be a homemade thing. I think this says shopper. How odd is this? It's got a basket back here for the stuff you shop for. Huge windshield. And here's the card on it. Even has a windshield wiper. And here's a motorcycle that is equipped to drive all the way across the USA with. Even carrying a spare tire up there. Good idea. Tires are hard to find for motorcycles. Every time I've needed a new tire, I've always had the special order and they never have them in stock. The exact size I need. I wonder if they really drove Lucille all the way around the world. Well, here is a map showing part of the journey starting right here in far east Russia. Even has the date and the black line where it went across Russia and into Europe. And here's a newspaper story about it. I guess things didn't go as well as planned. And here he's got the invoice to ship it from Seattle to Vladivostok, Russia, where he started his trip. $1,197 to ship it. Wow. They should make a movie about that. And now we go into the side room. I don't know if I have time to show you much detail on all of these. They got so many of them in here. Oh wow, look at this. And here is a dragster. And this, I think, is to keep it from flipping over backwards. Here's another one. Boy, could you imagine driving that fast with a seat like that? Whoa. I'm just going to briefly go down the line here. That's a 1968 Wards, 67 Wards. And that is Wards trying to compete with Sears for the motorcycle business. That's an Allstate from Sears, Yamaha, Suzuki, Honda 175, Honda 305 Scrambler from 1966. I bought a brand new 1972 Honda Scrambler. I love that bike. That was my all favorite. Now mine was a 350, that said 305. And they had their exhaust pipes like this, both on the left side with a heat shield. It still got hot on that left leg. But my 350 Scrambler, I love that bike. That was my all-time favorite of all the ones I've had. Honda was notorious for coming out with numerous different size engines. Some just a few cc's from another. But in recent years, they've just settled down to a few engine sizes. They don't change them from year to year much like they used to. There's a Triumph, also from Britain. That's a 73, and this is a 1960, 63 BSA, 99 Triumph. And this is a 52 BSA. Here's something I've never seen before. Gator. Wonder what that was used for. It looks like it's for some special function. Here's a 40 Harley with a sidecar. Indians. 2 more Indians. And Excelsiors. That is a 4-cylinder engine. There's the info on it. Here's a couple Harley Duo Glides. Not sure what Duo Glide means, but that's what they named it. Here's another Duo Glide with saddlebags. So this could be used for camping or long trips across the country. Here's another one with some permanent saddlebags on it. That's a 69 Harley Electro Glide. And here is the last row. That's a 56 Harley Panhead. Well, I think this answers my question. When was the first Harley? 1904, I guess it would be. Here's some more Harley-Davidsons. These are all Harleys. That's a 1930 and this is a 1929. Well, folks, that's about it. I've shown you most of them. Oh, and look up here. Way up there on the wall is all sorts of things. And this museum was created by a man who was a motorcycle racer. And he just started collecting motorcycles when he retired from racing. So this is certainly one of the best motorcycle collections that I've seen anywhere. Very impressive. Good day, folks.